What is up, Nickel City Mafia? For the first time ever, I am your host, Chris Caldwell. We have a brand new co-host for 2023, my man Jeremy Ness. What's up, Jeremy? Welcome to the show. This is your first ever podcast, I do believe. So happy to have you. What's going on tonight?
Hey, nothing much, man. Excited to talk about rankings, talk about this new football season about to start. Let's
Yep,
go.
let's get it. So, yeah, Nickel City Mafia will be bringing you a fantasy football show, at least one show every week for the entirety of the season. We're really excited tonight to talk rankings, who we're feeling this year, who we're fading. And next week, we're going to do a live mock draft next Tuesday. That's one of our favorite shows every year. It's really fun. We'll probably actually send out the link in our Discord if we want to get any Nickel City Mafia subscribers to come join us in that. But it's fantasy football time. I know everyone's scheduling their drafts, talking about it with family, friends, at the office. This is prime time. These next 3 weeks are important. So Jeremy and I are going to break it down for you tonight. Ready to get started?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Yeah, so tonight we're just going to do some casual conversation, kind of run through some rankings that we have been seeing, and just talk about which ones we think are legit, which players are ranked too high, and just kind of go from there. But yeah, just before we get started, Jeremy, do you have, like, before we talk about any players, do you have like a general strategy that you're employing this year? Before you get your draft started, do you make a plan? Do you kind of know, what positions you want to be strong at, which ones you're gonna, quote unquote fade a little bit? What are you feeling this year?
Yeah, I think I'm like honestly I like go the same way every year, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I'm always loving the wide receivers. It's just like what I always do. Sometimes I'll go just like three wide receivers in a row, first three rounds, and just like kind of zero RB it a little bit there. And this year, looking at it, might be some hero RBs, some zero RBs. The running backs, I just feel like you can kind of wait on them a little bit. Like you can get one of the studs and wait and get some other ones. I'm curious to see what you think about rankings and kind of talk it out and see based on how the running backs are looking, how wide receivers are looking. How about you?
Yeah,
What's
for
your strategies?
Yeah, this is cool. This is going to be fun because you and I text a lot,
Yeah,
about fantasy, and say, how do you like this guy? What should I do about this trade? So yeah, this will be a good show for us all year to do this. But yeah, you mentioned a couple of like vocabulary words, hero
yeah,
running back,
yeah.
zero running back. Just for the casual listeners out there, that kind of means, you more or less fade the running back position and you just draft one or two, we'll call them really good or your high end running backs, and then kind of ignore the position and be really strong elsewhere. And then just hope and pray that your running backs make it through the season. Cause like we've seen, that's a 50-50 proposition these days, right? I mean, running backs
Yeah.
are getting injured so much more than receivers. And maybe that's why we're seeing some of this, behind the scenes struggles between these monster running backs and their owners. I don't know, but yeah, running backs are having a hard time staying healthy, and I think we're going to see that when we start walking through the ADP or average draft position. For the players this year, I mean, people are all in, like you said, people are all in on wide receiver early. So yeah, but you're asking me about my strategy. I think I'm going to be mirroring a lot what you're doing. I don't think I'm quite as wide receiver heavy early as you are, but probably not far behind you. But yeah, let's hop into it. So up on the screen, you're seeing fantasypros.com. For my 2 cents, probably my favorite website to look at rankings, to look at player news, to look at trends, and also like weekly fantasy statistics. You can sort players by how they've done in the past 2 weeks or past 3 weeks. I use it a lot, so yeah, for this exercise we'll use it. But yeah, let's get started on the quarterbacks. And up top, probably to no surprise of anyone, we'll call it the big three: Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. I think certainly in a tier of their own. Would you have anyone else up there with them, or do you think they stand above the rest?
So I think there's a case for Lamar Jackson. I mean, I'm not a Ravens fan. I like the Ravens, but I'm not like a huge fan or anything. But I just think he's not that far removed from just blowing up the fantasy world, right? He is one of the reasons people take quarterbacks so early, because that year he blew up, and now it's like, all right, we need one of those top guys. So
He
and
broke
he
the
could do it
scale,
this
right?
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could do it this year again. So I would see him as like tier 1.5 or something, right in between there almost. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. I'm probably with you there that he's in a tier of his own. I think for me in tier two, because I'd clearly rather have him than the Burrow, Fields, Herbert, T-Law, because he does have that dynamic upside. I mean, we all know his rushing capability, and then you
Cheat
add,
code.
yeah, cheat code, and then Todd Monken, brand new offensive coordinator. He's known to spread it out and air it out. So Lamar's finally going to get his wish and be able to throw more. He says he'd like to run less. I don't know how much we're going to look into that, but we all know when the game's on the line, when there's a critical first down to pick up, Lamar's running the ball. So yeah. So the top three. Let's zoom in here a little bit. What percentage of your drafts do you think you'll come away with one of these top three, or is it even your strategy at all to pick off one of those?
So of the top three, I would say like I have Hurts number one actually over the other two. I think it's Hurts, Mahomes, then Allen, but they're all so close. Like you can't go wrong. I think my strategy is like if one of them falls like maybe back of the third, because they're going so early now. If they fall back of the third, I don't mind taking them at the back of the third round. Besides that, I pretty much kind of wait, and I'll try to get somebody like we're going to talk about the next tier maybe, or even like wait for a late round. Which has done me bad in the past. You want one of the top guys because you don't have to worry about that position. The entire season, you're set. Just set it, forget it. You know they're going to do well.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely one of my strategies is I only want to draft one quarterback. So we'll talk more about roster construction and kind of how many of each position you should be drafting. But I'm with you, man. I want to draft one of these top 8 quarterbacks, and then I'm not clicking that button again the rest of the draft because there's really no point. If you have Patrick Mahomes, why are you drafting Ryan Tannehill? It's just a waste of a roster spot. Let's go add a high upside receiver, running back for that roster spot. Just where I stand with that. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just think you're never going to use your bad quarterback, and like except for the one bye week, which you can stream. It's fine. Pick somebody off the waiver wire for 1 week to fill in on their bye week, and use that roster spot. Grab like a random running back with the last pick, or a young wide receiver with the last pick. Somebody that has upside that can actually do more in your team and might have a chance of being in your lineup.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's so you kind of gave your order, your Hurts, Mahomes, Allen. That's your top 3. I will say, I know this is your first time on this podcast. Be careful, this is a Buffalo Bills podcast.
I know how their
watch
order
your tongue,
goes.
man. Yeah, watch your tongue. But yeah, so just real quick, why are you? I'm not going to say you're low on Allen because he's your number 3 quarterback, but is that because of his arm injury last year? You're worried about his weapons, or what's up?
It's hard to say you're low on him, right? He's right in there. I just like I was saying, I think if whoever is there, I take whichever the last 3 is there. It's just they're all so close. I just like if I had to pick between the 3, I'm going in that order. I just think Hurts has the better weapons. He's better on his feet. Mahomes is missing the weapons, but he doesn't need them. He's so good. He makes it. He's got Kelsey. He just throws the ball to Kelsey every single play, and then he makes the rest happen. And then Allen, he's really got Diggs, and then hopefully James Cook this year, and some of the other guys. Kincaid's new, rookie tight ends. Generally aren't amazing. So it's
Kyle Pitts,
it's all about the rushing though, and they all rush. They all get the rushing touchdowns. That's what you want.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you said in tier 2, Lamar stands out for you. He might even be part of tier 1. So who out of Burrow, Fields, Herbert, and T-Law would you be targeting if that's kind of where you're going? You have to pick one.
If I had to pick one, I think I want the Fields upside. Again, we're talking about the rushing and the cheat code quarterback, Konami code. You want that guy that can, even if he has a terrible game, he's going to run for 100 yards and who cares? He'll throw for another couple hundred.
Yeah. So yeah, mind you that the Chicago Bears had the worst passing offense in like the last 30 some years last year,
Yeah.
and Justin Fields was still legit, right? So
Yeah.
let's talk about that the only way to go is up for them. They added DJ Moore, they finally got rid of their coach. Things are looking good. I'm with you. If I'm not landing a top 4 guy, which I'm probably not seeking to do that often unless it's like Lamar for a value, I'm shooting for Fields and T-Law. Those are my 2 guys in this area this year. Super high on the Jags. I just think, the addition of Calvin Ridley, Lawrence's second healthy season in a row under Doug Peterson. I mean, I just think in the playoffs last year, he just looked amazing. So
Yeah, a little of that Clemson love coming out. I see it.
I know. Sorry. Yep.
No, it's all good. Another good. Lawrence uses his legs. T-Law's got the legs too. So, and that offense, with Ridley coming back, like everyone's going crazy about Ridley, how good he looks. They paid Kirk all that money. He's going to get the ball too. He's got a lot of places to put it, and it could go really, really well for the Jags this year.
Yeah, fully agree. Okay, so let's take a peek here at tier 3, and do you think you're often landing here? I kind of already planted my stake that whenever I can help it, I'm coming away with one of the top 8 quarterbacks. Probably not one of the top 3, but like number 4 through 8. That's kind of my sweet spot this year. Who do you like in this tier 3? And is there anyone that you would wait on and be really happy with it?
I think it's the number 9 there, right at the top, Deshaun. All the off the field stuff aside, he's got that code to win. He can he can use his legs. He can't be as bad as last year. He hadn't played in, was it 2 years he hadn't played in?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
he had to play in like really cold conditions, windy conditions. I don't know. I'm just making excuses, but I think he could come back this year and just crush it for Cleveland. He's got amazing O line too, which is a huge help. Cleveland has a great O line. I just, of that group, if I had to grab one, I'm grabbing him. Otherwise, I'm like waiting and just like, I guess, hoping to grab somebody late that could do something.
Okay, so you're kind of like me, so you're like top 9
Yeah.
or just punt, right?
I think it's 9 or punt. Like, cause after that,
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking. You go down. There's some people there. You got
Yeah, this
Dak
is
and
just
Tua,
blah,
Daniel
right?
Jones, but they're just like
Yeah.
not. They're not gonna crush it for you.
Yeah.
They're gonna do okay.
Tua through Goff is just a bunch of nastiness, except I'm intrigued by Anthony Richardson. Today, he was named the starter to start the regular season. So what do you think about him? He was known as one of, the rawest QB prospects to come out maybe in a couple years. But he was kind of the first one announced as the starter of the rookie class. So you taking any shots on him?
Yeah, I think so. Probably like a little bit of 1 or 2 shares of him just to see if something pans out, because he could be Justin Fields last year, right? He could be on a terrible, maybe schemed team, or just not experienced enough yet, where he's just got to run a lot. And everyone says he's the most athletic quarterback since nobody. Like he's just crazy athletic, and you're just hoping that he gives you all those points with his legs. It could happen. What the RG3 year was crazy, right? His rookie year, that could be Anthony Richardson this year.
Yeah, he's like Cam Newton's size with a bigger arm, and he's faster, right?
Yep.
So
Exactly.
we'll see how it pans out. He has to have it up here too.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about if we're really punting it off. And I think if you, so at what point, if you're drafting, at what point do you say, okay, if I'm taking one of these guys, I should roster a second quarterback? Is it, if you're after Watson, you'll probably take 2? Is that your plan?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe after Daniel Jones there, I would say. Or
Okay.
even, I like Geno better than Kirk Cousins. Geno's got a bunch of weapons and stuff. Like, you can talk yourself into just keeping the one quarterback, right, and hoping they hang on for you. But after we get through that third tier there, and we even get past the top 12, it gets, besides like Geno, who I like a lot, I think it gets just so iffy. Like, is there anybody you like past 12 besides Geno Smith? And we talked about Anthony Richardson already.
Yeah, I mean, Richardson's intriguing. I'm with you. I can get down with Geno. But then the only people in tier 4 that I'm touching with the 10-foot pole is Derek Carr I'm kind of intrigued with, and I think a guy that could break the slate is Kyler Murray, right?
If he ever
We're
comes back.
exactly.
Win, if
So
or win, yeah.
I think, you know, drafting someone like, let's wait and just draft like a Dak or a Daniel Jones and then just throw Kyler Murray on the end of your roster and see how he comes back. Because if and when Kyler Murray comes back, we know that he's an every week top 10 QB,
Yeah, or top five even
or top five,
when he
right?
was
If
going. Yeah,
Kyler Murray was healthy, where is he slotted in? Like somewhere right here, like 6, 7.
for sure. I
Yeah,
think he's right after Fields. I think
yeah.
he's probably right there. Yeah, yeah.
So having that, it's almost like drafting like that high upside running back on your bench, and you just hope like he gets a chance to play and go off. Well, guess what? Kyler Murray's going to have a chance to play
Oh, yeah.
later in the year, most likely, unless Arizona is just done with this year. They're mailing it in. They want the first pick. But I don't know. I mean, I think
They
he's
also paid
so
him a ton of money, right? You
yeah,
gotta
he's
pay
so
the
highly
guys you
paid.
paid a
Yeah,
ton of money to.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I'm not touching tier 4 with a 10-foot pole. Carr and Kyler Murray are probably the only people I would have on my roster. Anyone else you like down here intrigue you a little bit?
Um, Kenny Pickett a little bit. I just think he can only go up from last year, right? Like the team wasn't great, but he still got all the weapons there. Um, the O line is okay, right? It's not like horrible. I don't know. They're trying to make it better. I think he could have a little bit of a breakout, but is it going to be a top 10 breakout? I don't know. It might be like a top 12 breakout, where he just cracks the QB1 status.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think he's a decent streaming option. I mean, he's going to be in some higher scoring games. AFC North has a bunch of good offenses with the Ravens and the Bengals and the Browns, so he should have to put up points. So yeah, I'm with you. He's intriguing just because he also can use his legs here and there, and he has the weapons. So I'm intrigued to see how it turns out. So, what about your hometown boy, Sam Howell? Playing. So those, no one knows Jeremy yet, but
Yeah.
he's a Commanders fan. And so, what do you think about Sam Howell? Decent reports.
So far it's optimistic. I mean, if you're a Washington fan, you have to be optimistic because Dan Snyder's gone. So everything is great this year. We could not win a single game. I will be the happiest Washington fan I've ever been. But I think Howell has shown promise, here and there and stuff, and it'll be interesting to see how he does this year. He's got, NFC East is always a beast of a division. Even when all the teams are terrible, they still play each other really, really well. And this year, a lot of teams are good. There's a lot of offense going on, a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a difficult division for a quarterback like Howell, who doesn't have a lot of experience, to have to step up and really make some plays. But they also have like Jacoby Brissett as backup, and he knows how to use his legs. He did during the preseason game. So if that takes over, you got a little bit of a leg guy there. He's older, but he's a veteran. He doesn't turn over the ball. You never know.
Moral of the story: let's stay away from Washington quarterbacks.
Yes,
All
for
right.
fantasy purposes, do not draft.
Correct. All right. Well, any last comments on QB before we leave?
No, I don't think so. Just take Lamar Jackson if he drops a little bit, because you'll be very happy.
I fully agree. Go Ravens. All right. So let's kick it over to running back. So, this is not the same fantasy football as it was, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, when basically the whole first round was running backs and, quarterbacks even, right? And then there was a random wide receiver thrown in here and there. But running backs have really soured in the mouths of a lot of fantasy football players because, like we were mentioning at the top of the show, between injuries, holdouts, disappointments, I mean, there's just, not a whole lot of optimism for many of these guys. And it's kind of like, we'll go down the board a little bit later, but it's like after you pass like running back 6, you start having questions, and that's not really where you want to be when drafting, a second, third round player. You want to be very confident in your pick and very sure that that person's going to be an every week starter that's going to lead you to a championship. So, yeah, what's your general, first and second round strategy with running backs? Are you kind of a complete fade this year, or what are you doing?
So I think you said it best, and I like Fantasy Pros rankings here because that top six does feel like a cliff there. I think like I want one of those top six guys, and that's my like one RB strategy. Grab one of those guys and then shift over to wide receivers for like 3-4 rounds, and then jump back into the running back pool and see who's fallen or and whatnot. Just because like all six of those guys have potential to be the number one RB for the season and just blow it up. Like after that, like you said, there's so many question marks, so much stuff going on. We can talk about it, but yeah. How about you?
Yeah, man, I think I'm right there with you. Is the top six, sure, you can have questions about each one, I guess, but the top six give you the RB1 overall potential. I guess a healthy, happy Jonathan Taylor also gives you that. But
Sure.
there's question marks there too. Josh Jacobs flirted with it last year, but he's holding out right now. It just gets ugly quick. So that's exactly why I'm with you. That I want to figure out a way to get one of these top six on my team. And if you're drafting towards the back of the first round, you're almost certainly going to have an opportunity to get Bijan Robinson, Nick Chubb, Barkley, or Pollard. So, kind of depending where you are, if you're one of the top three picks in the draft, I don't think you're going to get any of the top six. They're probably usually all gone by the second round, right?
Yeah. I've seen Pollard going in the second and just scoop him up anytime you can in the second. Anything in the second round, Tony Pollard done. Like I think it's great. One of the strategies we actually haven't talked about though is tiers. So like drafting by tiers is like a cool thing, and I feel like they have it here where it's like kind of two tiers. I almost have like the 1 through 6 in like the one tier, and I feel
Hmm.
like that's where like I want the end of that tier, right? Like when you're drafting, if you're looking at tiers, you want to get the end of that tier because then you're getting the most value maybe out of your pick. So if
For
like some
sure.
at the end of the tier falls to you, you're grabbing them, you're getting extra value there, and then maybe you can jump into another position or back into a different tier.
Yeah, man, I'm with you there. And let's just talk real quick about like a couple of these running backs. The reason why we're kind of calling them the big six, and it's cool that
Yeah.
we both agree on that so much. A lot of these guys, they had a great offseason, right? Let's just go down the list. Christian McCaffrey, one step closer to being fully healthy.
Yep.
And then also no competition added to the backfield. So that's
And
good.
Kyle Shanahan offense, like he's just gonna get the ball a
Yeah, he's
lot
gonna he's gonna
in
eat
great
as long as he's
situations.
on the field. He's going to
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah.
I think Brock Purdy starting is a good thing for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Trey Lance would take away some of those rushing yards, perhaps. So
Exactly.
I think McCaffrey is set up to just absolutely dominate. Same with Eckler. No competition added in the backfield there. It's just all him. Bijan Robinson, we can say he had a great offseason because he was drafted in the freaking top 10
Yeah.
to the team that has Arthur Smith as the head coach. That's absolutely just going to run the ball
They're gonna
every
run the
chance he
ball.
has. Yeah.
The
If
only thing
Arthur
that
Smith
scares
could
me,
run the, yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna say the only thing that scares me about him is Arthur Smith decides he wants to be like a three-headed monster or something, and it's Algier and Cordell Patterson. But with Bijan, you're betting on like just this insane talent that he's gonna be the best player since Barkley. Like he's gonna be insane, and talent will just show.
dude, did you see their first edition of their depth chart?
No.
Bijan's listed number 3.
Yeah, see, the depth charts
See,
during preseason, they don't even count. Like, come on.
yeah. It's like they always try to appease the
Yeah,
veterans, right? It's like Cordell Patterson's
yeah,
listed as a starter, and then
yeah.
Algier, and then Bijan. It's like, get the hell out of here.
Or it's like rookies paying their dues or something, right? It's something like that,
Exactly.
and then come game day, oh yeah, we're gonna pay the guy we took number 8 overall. Like, I think so.
For sure. Yeah. So
And then you
anyway,
got Chubb.
yeah, so Chubb had a great offseason because Kareem Hunt left and no one got added. So, we've been kind of clamoring to see Nick Chubb catch the ball a little bit more. And maybe this is our chance. I mean, their backup running back is Jerome Ford. Not a household name, right? So,
And he's
uh,
banged up a little bit.
yeah. exactly.
Yeah.
So I think Nick Chubb, I mean, all things considered, don't you find him to like want to be one of the safest players in fantasy football? He has a great bill of health all the time. He's an offense that loves to run the ball. They have a good offensive line. He's like one of the most efficient runners ever. He scores a lot of touchdowns. It's like, can Nick Chubb fail?
He's built like a tank. Dude
Yeah.
just keeps on trucking, keeps going. But yeah, then we
Yeah.
got Barkley up next, and Barkley's on. Anyone the Brian Dable offense, I'm in. I'm in on some of that stuff, and Barkley is just gonna get better and better with him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Barkley had a great year too. I mean, he got his money that he was wanting, and little to no competition added. I mean, they drafted a guy in like the 6th round, Evan Hall, who's not really going to take any of Barkley's workload. Barkley's going to be a 75%, share of that backfield or more. Yeah, and then Pollard, it's like, so we saw Zeke today sign with New England.
Yep,
And what was the other signing today? Oh, Dalvin Cook to the
Dalvin.
Jets.
Yep.
So Tony Pollard's home free, man. I mean, I think I might be
Oh
all
yeah.
in.
No, I think I am. That's what I was saying. Like anytime he slips in the second, just grab him everywhere you can. I think even like back into the first is probably where he's going right now, as far as I see, and
Yeah,
I'm happy with him there too.
yeah. I mean, I think a pretty sick start to a draft is C.D. Lamb and Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
I like that. But anyway, okay, so we all agree there's a big six, and for very good reason. Now let's start talking about. So we'll say between 7 and 12, it's a nice group because it's all people that we have really decent questions on, right? So who do you like out of this next? I think my next tier is like the 7 to 12. So who are you targeting in there?
Real quick shout out to that Dolphins realtor. What's up? He's just saying hi. Um, in that range, it's a little. I kind of feel like I want to take a chance that Jonathan Taylor works everything out. He's
Mhm.
such a star, and I feel like they can't mess it up that bad, right? Or maybe he gets traded, and then wherever he goes, he's instantly going to be amazing. Um, I don't know.
I
What do
was
you
actually
think of
think.
who do you have going for?
See, here's the thing with fantasy football. I think you play to win. You don't play not to lose, right? So I think I'm actually somewhat excited that Taylor and Jacobs and Mixon just continue to slide because who knows what their situation will be in a couple weeks when you start doing more drafts. But I almost wish I was drafting now because if these guys all had contracts and were in training camp and we're happy right now, they're all, elevated to late 1st round, early 2nd round picks, which they're not going at all right now. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of embracing the volatility a little bit here with Taylor and Jacobs
Yeah.
and looking to soak that up.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Ramondre is interesting too. If he starts to slide, I know they picked up Zeke, but Zeke is kind of like a little washed, right? He like doesn't look like the same Zeke anymore. And Ramondre is still going to get the pass catching stuff. The only problem you have is Zeke could just steal all of the goal line. Zeke could just fall in the goal line 5 times, and that would kind of suffer Ramondre.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think so. I'm a big Ramadre fan, and I was actually excited to see them get Zeke. I wanted them to get like Zeke or Kareem Hunt or something that has somebody has name value that's going to push Ramadre down draft boards. But I don't actually think that Ramadre Stevenson's going to be hurting with Zeke. I mean,
Yeah.
what's Zeke's every week line going to look like? It's going to be 6 or 7 carries for 20 yards and maybe a touchdown, right? That's kind of what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
And Belichick is like not super trusting with running backs. If Zeke makes one mistake, Belichick's going to bench him. Like it's just what he does. Uh, I agree with Jake over here. JT is going to play football this year. He has to, absolutely has to. I'm
Yeah,
thinking the
let's
same
let's
thing.
show this. Hey Jake, thanks for the super chat, man. You'll meet Jake later on. He's one of the content producers on this channel.
Nice.
Yeah, biggest Bills fan I've ever met in my life. And Jake's the man. He'll join us for our mock draft next week, I'm sure.
Cool.
But I think we'll say together, yes, Jonathan Taylor will be playing football, and I'm not convinced that I think a trade is better for his fantasy value than staying there.
Yeah.
I mean, it could depend where he is, but think about it. Typically, you don't want a running back that has a super mobile quarterback, and that's what he has right now. And I don't know, like there's some dream spots that Taylor could land in. Miami, Kansas
Yeah.
City. So
Everybody wants to go to Kansas City, right? Everybody wants everybody to go to Kansas City. Just hope they turn into something crazy there.
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like if we're going a little further down that list there, over at 15, Jameer Gibbs, I've been taking a bunch of Gibbs, probably too much Gibbs. I just think his price point, we've seen rookies from that spot. He's like third round ish, third or fourth round right now. I bet some home leagues he might even fall to like fourth, fifth. And we've just seen too many rookies crush it from that area. And he was drafted so high.
So I got to ask, are you not scared of the man, the myth, the legend, David Montgomery?
No, I like him too. So in drafts where I'm not taking Jameer Gibbs, I'm taking David Montgomery because I think they can both get fed there. I think for sure there's a role for both of them. But I think of the two, Gibbs has the chance to just skyrocket there.
Yeah, so Dolphins realtor, I'm surprised James Cook isn't higher. I'm targeting. I
Yeah.
think Jeremy and I will agree on that. We'll get to him in a second, but we'll have a little talk about James Cook. Um, I'm with you on Gibbs. I mean, I think the talent is undeniable. Paying RB15 price to someone, it's going to be tough for me. I mean, I wish he was in that 2021 range just because
Yeah.
I do think David Montgomery's good. I think he was, dare I say, underutilized in Chicago. He's on a much better offense with a much better offensive line right now in Detroit. I think David Montgomery's going to smash. So I just don't know how much there is to go around with Montgomery and Gibbs. And yeah, let's not forget about our man Aaron Jones, who's been a RB1 for 4 straight years.
Yeah, I could see them like leaning heavily on him. Jordan Love, dumping the ball off to him a bunch, and he's a pass catcher, and that's what you want in a running back. You want the pass catching ability, get those extra points. I could definitely see him kind of tearing it up. He's a little older, I guess. That's the only downside to him, right? And that also, we just don't know about the Packers' offense. We don't know what they're going to be. Last year, Aaron Rodgers just kind of gave up on football, I guess. So this year, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jones is, I think he's 28 this year, but he was kind of a late starter, right? I mean, his first like 2 years, he wasn't really used. I don't think he has a ton of tread on the tires for a 28-year-old, so kind of still in on him. Speaking of pass catching backs, and that's who you want. Do you think the Jaguars forgot that Travis Etienne is an elite pass catcher, or like what's going on over there?
I liked him a lot, and then this like Tank Bigsby talk coming out about him being the pass catching guy just like has me fading Etienne a little bit, which I hate. I like him a lot, but I have just been kind of letting other people scoop him up early, and I just kind of pass on him. I could be totally wrong, and he could end up crushing it. But I'm afraid they're going to end up giving some to the rookie too, and see how things go.
Yeah. So I'm with you. They drafted Tank Bigsby in the 3rd or 4th round this
Yeah.
year. But I would like to correct a common misconception about Tank Bigsby. I think people take his first name a little too literally. Not necessarily the biggest guy. ETN's actually bigger BMI than Tank Bigsby. So I don't know that Bigsby's going to come in and just immediately steal the goal line back
Yeah.
role as a rookie. I think everyone's way overplaying that. I think it's Travis Etienne's backfield for as much as he can eat. And yeah, I'm kind of like him this year. We just need him to get that pass catching role back.
Yeah, Jake's talking about Miles Sanders. I'm not a big Miles Sanders fan this year with Carolina. I think I'm out on everything Carolina this year. I know he can be fantasy relevant there, like for sure. I mean, Chuba's already been there for a little while, and they could give him some work. I'm a bit out on him this year. I could be totally wrong, but just I have not been taking any of them.
Was it just me? And I don't have the stats in front of me, but it felt like last year there was like a 6 to 8 week period where you just wanted the Carolina running back. It was kind of a
But
shuffle
which
of the
one?
running
Yeah,
backs.
it's like which one did you
Exactly.
want?
But
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like they were so dedicated to running the ball and running it well. Um, yeah, I feel like Miles Sanders is like the biggest trap ever this year, but
yeah,
I think I'm gonna take the bait.
yeah.
I think that with a rookie QB, you need to lean on your running back a little bit, and he's still young. I think he's entering his prime, so yeah, I'm gonna be in on some Miles Sanders just because I like him better than the guys right around him. Totally out on Alexander Madison this year. I'm not going to own one share. I'm just
Yeah, I'm with you
completely
there.
off that. I just think I'm not going to say he lucked into it. I just think he's not good at football. Like he's not
Yeah.
fast. He's not explosive. He's not a good pass catcher. I don't know, man. I know the
He's not the
offense is
guy.
really good. No, he's
He's
not.
just not the guy. That's it.
Yeah.
It's all good. But a
Yeah.
little above them, we haven't talked about Brees Hall yet, and I think this Dalvin Cook thing is just it's nothing. They want a little extra insurance because they're not sure if he's going to be 100% week one. But Brees Hall is the guy. Like he's going to blow up, and I'll take any kind of fade people are doing on him.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. We were talking about Kyler Murray and quarterbacks like
Yeah.
slate breaker type players. Brees Hall is the slate breaker running back. He got activated from the pup today, or whatever list he was on. I don't know,
Yeah.
which was interesting because they signed Dalvin Cook on the same day. But man, if I think the Dalvin Cook signing was because of Aaron Rodgers. I think he wanted a
For
veteran
sure.
presence back there,
Yeah.
dude. We all watched that 6 or 7 game period with Brees Hall. He's unreal. If I know, like coming off the knee injury, first year back, you're a little bit worrisome about that. But at running back 16, let's get a grip. He can be RB1 overall if he starts the year fully healthy week 1.
Yeah. Totally agree with you. I think that's in the realm.
Cool. Well, let's see here. Yeah, Kenneth Walker, super nervous about that because of the Charbonnet draft. You feel the same way?
Yeah, I like Charbonnet a little better for where he's going and his kind of ability, I guess, to maybe take over pass catching there. I feel like we're kind of entering a little bit of the running back dead zone here. People like to talk about,
Hmm. Yeah,
and of these
explain
guys,
explain a
I'm
little
not
bit more
crazy.
what you mean by that running back dead zone.
So it's like typically, if once you get past like kind of the third round, it's like the rounds. What is it, like 4 to 6 ish? Statistically, a lot of those running backs do don't really outperform their ADP. They're not going to do better than where they you grabbed them, and a lot of times they're going to do worse. So that's kind of why they call it the running back dead zone. So a lot of times people don't like taking running backs in those rounds 4 to 6. Another reason it's called the dead zone is because the wide receivers in those rounds are a lot more valuable than the running backs.
Hmm.
So I
So what?
tend to go running back or wide receiver and just kind of ignore running backs that round.
Yeah, so I think what we're trying to tell you, two running backs in the first 4 rounds, and then let it be till like
Yep.
round 8 or 9, and just smash.
Yeah.
Um, that's what we were talking about. We like the QBs in that range, in the rounds 4 to 8 range, and we really like the wide receivers, which we'll get to next. And I think that's where the tight end value is too. So just ignoring this group of the Miles Sanders through the Alvin Kamara's is probably a really good thing to do.
Well, what do you
Um,
think about Kamara? Actually, I'm curious to hear because we just found out it's a 3 game suspension, and potentially, if he appeals it, they're saying it could go down to 2. And the man is really good.
I could not
No,
be more off. Like I'm,
yeah,
I no nothing. Dude, he
uh,
was terrible last year. He was like one of the most inefficient running backs last year. He's saved by the fact that he catches 3 to 5 balls a game. I don't know, man. He didn't
and takes
pass
him
the
to the
eye.
house sometimes.
Yeah, he just
uh,
didn't pass the eye test for me whatsoever
no,
last year. I know David Carr coming in is a upgrade at QB, but I don't know. I just don't see a situation like, for example, I want Montgomery, Javante Williams, and James Cook all 10 times more than I want Kamara. I'm
I
gonna
don't
have zero
know.
Kamara.
I
Zero.
I
None.
kind of think he still has it in him. I kind of want to take a chance on him and hope he can like just go crazy. Like I think he's still got him in him. Like he could do it. You know, like James Conner last year.
You're gonna sit here and look me in the eyes and tell me that you're taking Alvin Kamara over Dave Montgomery,
Yeah, right now.
a
Yeah,
guy
I think
that's not
so.
playing football for 3 games.
It could be two. Who knows?
Oh God,
I think so.
I need a
But
new co-host.
I I know, I know.
No, I'm
But
just
actually, a
kidding.
guy we passed over there that I like a little better than him is Rashad White. Actually, I find myself grabbing him where he is a lot. I just think he's a guy that is getting overlooked, maybe, and not talked about enough.
Mhm.
And I think he could do really, really well in Tampa. Tampa doesn't have a lot, you know, the QB situation. Who knows what's going on? But the running back situation doesn't have a lot of competition. It's Rashad White.
Yeah, I agree. They have, what, Keyshawn Vaughn and Chase Edmonds, which is, like you said, no competition. Rashad White might just be the king of garbage time this year. Like, I could see him getting
Yeah,
3 or 4 receptions every fourth quarter when Baker Mayfield is just tired of getting sacked and, whatever. But yeah, I'm with you. Rashad White has an intriguing upside. The offense is going to be really bad. Let's not forget that. But I just think he will have a really nice floor to with his receiving ability and no competition.
and J.K. Dobbins getting activated off the pub list. How are you feeling about that? Jake's asking.
Hey, let me see. The- oh yeah, that was today, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Man, I'm actually pretty tired of these running backs acting like babies, to be honest. But I mean, Dobbins has a dimension to him now that he is fully healthy that the Ravens just didn't have, right? I mean, he was basically who carried us at the end of the year last year and in the playoffs. And, he was pissed that we didn't feed him more in the playoffs. I mean, he was basically running
everybody
on
was
one.
right.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically running on one leg, and he was still just clowning the Cincinnati defense. We just underutilized him. I'm excited for the first time ever to see fully healthy J.K. Dobbins. Ravens have a good offensive line, and there's tons of other weapons. You can't stock the box against the Ravens anymore. So, I'm squeamish on him because he's just a zero in the passing game, and Lamar never throws to running backs. But I'm intrigued with the talent. I'm going to have fun watching him this year. I just probably won't watch him score many points for my fantasy team because I probably won't draft a lot of him. I just like
Yeah,
a couple people behind him just as much.
yeah. Well, we were getting asked about James Cook. Let's switch over to him. I think it's hard not to draft someone on such a good offense. He's just going to get so much opportunity, right? That's like the driving force behind James Cook.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I don't know, and maybe Jake can chime in with the stats here. I'm sure he has them tattooed on his arm or something. But James Cook, I
Yeah.
think he was top 3 in yards per carry and number 1
Oh,
breakaway run rate. Um,
wow.
the guy's absolutely electric with the ball in his hands. Talk about passing the eye test. He's faster than anyone on the field anytime he's on the field. It's pretty unreal. Kind of like Lamar, Josh Allen's not really a check down kind of guy. And we know that's a little bit of James Cook's bread and butter. But
Yeah.
the coach said this year, he said James Cook could be a bell cow back, a 3 down back. So how much of James Cook do you think you'll have?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to grab him on a few teams. I just think the opportunity is there. He could every week he can put up a bunch of points. And he's also again he's kind of the guy there. I know they got Damian Harrison, but Damian Harris I don't think he's going to have that big of a role in that offense. I just don't see it happening. The only thing I could see him doing is stealing goal line carries from James Cook. That's about it. But you want the
Yeah.
pass catching, you want those big plays that James Cook could do.
Yeah, Damian Harris, I think he fits in that category. Better real life football player than fantasy player. He's going to serve a purpose for that team, but it's not going to take many fantasy points away from James Cook.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you there. Um, cool. Yeah, I think Buffalo has a good one on their hands. And to be honest, it's like James Cook is kind of dare I say, like an end of a tier here almost of like guys I would want as my like RB2 or RB3, and the rest I'm kind of just, a hope and a prayer. But I think James Cook is like the last one that I'm pretty confident that will have a good year.
I'm gonna take a little bit of a homer pick here and say Antonio Gibson. He's got that pass catching stuff, man. It's like, is that what you were gonna say? I
Oh
beat
yeah,
you to it.
oh yeah, all in.
He's got that
All
pass
in.
catching stuff, man. And I know Brian Robinson looked good, and the man survived gunshots and came back in like a week. He was back like 2 weeks later after getting shot. Like, but
Yeah,
Gibson's got the pass catching. I'm hoping, they changed the offense up a little bit, use him a little bit than they did last year. So I kind of have him a little higher, like in that kind of last tier where I've been grabbing him just because of where he's going. Some people have Brian Robinson ranked higher than Gibson. Right there, they're right next to each other. I think that's kind of where it should be. You can kind of take a bet on who you like better, and I like Gibson better.
yeah. Just think, Ron Rivera is the head coach of the Commanders. Ron Rivera coached Christian McCaffrey for a long time. Antonio Gibson, similar, size and skill set to Christian McCaffrey. Let's make it happen. Riverboat Ron, let's do it.
Yeah,
Brian Robinson, I see. I might have to disagree with you a little bit. I thought he looked pretty trash last year. I mean,
yeah,
he was
yeah.
like he was just like the king of the 3 yard run, and for fantasy, it's just not doing it for me.
When
So
you fall in the end zone every 3 yards, that's okay.
yeah. I'm just I'm at the same ADP. I'm
No,
never taking Brian Robinson over Antonio Gibson.
I'm
I'm
having
not
zero
doing.
Brian Robinson this year.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
yeah, cool. Just because there's two of them in this, eye shot here. Where are you on the Philly backfield?
I think I'm just avoiding all of them. Well, that's not true. I like Rashad Penny a little bit of the guys. I think I like where he's going. I guess I like his value. I like getting him a bit later. I think that's what's having me like maybe grab him here and there, just because he's going later. Like I don't
Yeah.
like where Swift is going. I'd rather have some other guys.
Yeah, so kind of the rule of thumb on crowded backfields where it's, undecided, no one really knows who's going to be, quote unquote the lead back or who's going to get the goal line work or who's going to be the receiving back. Whenever that's the case and it's like a three-headed backfield, always go with the cheapest option.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So I
Oh
think you
yeah.
just naturally want to fade, the more expensive guy who this year is Swift. Love his talent. When he can stay on the field, he's a really fun player to watch. But yeah, I think with Rashad Penny and Kenny Gainwell being much cheaper options this year, I'm gonna try to, have one of those on the back end of my bench if I can.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Did you see that Khalil Herbert highlight? He scored like a 60-yard touchdown or something.
Yeah, and I like Khalil, but I find I don't get him a lot. I go for Roshan. I like the getting a rookie. It's probably nothing, but you can get him for like free, right at the end of your draft, kind of. So
Hmm. For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and just like we said, the Chicago backfield, one would say it's Khalil Herbert, but when it's completely unknown like that,
Yeah.
just take the cheapest guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
take
Deonta
one and
Foreman.
hope. Yeah,
Yep, take the cheapest one and pray because
yeah,
you'll probably be right for at least a couple weeks
yeah.
of the year. So, all right. So let me, I'll scroll down a little bit here and then I'll have a question for you. So, who tier 6 or lower do you think could be a league winner?
Oh man. If you're talking about kind of backups, I kind of like snagging Jalen Warren a lot. I feel like Harris, something could happen. He gets banged up, or he hasn't looked as good as everybody thought he was going to be. Maybe. So I don't mind grabbing Warren because he could, like I said, if he just becomes the RB1, you've got a potential top 12 running back on your team for cheap. Which
Yeah.
one of these guys are you grabbing?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on Warren. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that Najee Harris is solid. He's unspectacular but solid.
Yeah.
And Warren is kind of that guy. You can just tell he's a coach's guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he plays much more than his draft capital would suggest. He plays in high leverage spots. plays around the goal line. He catch passes. And yeah, I think he's someone that they would have no problem handing the keys to if Harris goes down. Yes, I'm with you on that one. And then another guy I like in this range, staying on that same, discussion about undecided backfields. I'm going to take some swings at Devon Achane this year.
Yeah.
Miami has, 3 running backs, Achane, Jeff Wilson, and
We'll start.
Raheem Mostert. So yeah, I mean, I think their ADPs are all kind of somewhat the same,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna take the rookie who has 4.2, 4.3 speed, and just drool about thinking about him and Mike McDaniel's offense, because that's going to be wild. Even
Mike
if he only
McDaniel's
gets
the
like
name. Sorry, I was gonna say Mike McDaniel's the name because who knows what he's gonna do.
exactly,
Man's like a crazy tactical genius, right? Like,
yeah,
you never know who's gonna be getting the ball, who's gonna be going crazy. But I think you're right. I think Achane's a great opportunity.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that the general rule is, when you're getting this late in your draft and you're drafting your 4th or 5th running back, just completely steer like free of safety. I don't want, someone who's, like, please don't draft Zeke Elliott. Please don't draft Gus Edwards. Draft someone that if an injury happens in front of them, or if they fall in favor of the coaching staff, they have top 15 running back ability. We don't want someone that's just going to score, 8 points a game if everything breaks their way, right? So that's kind of the general rule down here.
I've got a strategy question for you with running backs. How do you feel about the handcuff situation? Taking handcuffs late.
And I don't know if there's stats that go for this or against this, but I am anti handcuff because I think handcuffs increase your floor but lower your ceiling, right? Because I want non-handcuffed backup running backs, because if the starter gets hurt or suspended or whatever it may be, I have that bullet that is now the shiny new toy, and I have a trade piece, right?
Yeah.
Someone I was never planning on playing. And I mean, it just instantly catapults my team up to one of the favorite teams if you hit big on an Achane or a Jalen Warren or something like that. Or if you draft Gainwell as your last pick and Philly says, well, he's the starter, you instantly have, a lot more, bullets, trade pieces on your team. I get the argument for handcuffing your own running backs, but I think it's like a risk tolerance thing. It raises your floor, but doesn't give you that super high upside. I mean, we play fantasy football, we want to come in first place. So I like to shoot for the moon and grab other people's handcuffs. What about you?
I agree. I kind of feel the same way. I have nothing against people who want to handcuff. I get it as well because if your first round running back goes down and you have his backup ready, you're set. But I want to play thinking my first round running back is going to play the entire season.
Exactly.
And then maybe at the end, my somebody else's handcuff is on my team, and I get an extra running back 1 out of it. And that's what you want to play for. And that's kind of why I feel the same way you do about it. Yeah.
Okay, well, we just settled that argument for once and for all. Right
Done.
Now,
no more handcuffs.
You only handcuff if you're scared, and we don't play fantasy football scared. So stop handcuffing. All right, glad we settled that. It was weighing on my mind. All right, well, any more deep sleeper running backs that you wanted to mention before we hop over to receivers?
I mean, like super deep, Indianapolis Evan Hall. Right, he's like the rookie there, and maybe he's not a rookie. Sorry, he came out with neck last year, but
no, Hall is a rookie this year.
Oh, he is okay. Anyway, Jonathan Taylor, something doesn't work out or whatever. He's good at pass catching, but he's like crazy late.
Yeah,
at least 82.
Yeah. So yeah, he'll go undrafted.
Yeah,
but maybe drafting like a Jonathan Taylor handcuff if you're doing your draft like this weekend. That's probably not a terrible idea, actually.
No, yeah, yeah. And I don't even know
So
if
yeah,
Evan Hall is that handcuff or not, but yeah,
it's either him or it's help me with the guy that had a couple good weeks last year. Geez. Oh, Deion
uh,
Jackson.
and
Yeah.
they did get Kenny Drink too. I forgot about that. They signed
Yeah.
him. Yeah, he's nothing. Zombie.
Cool. All right, so on to wide receivers. Everyone's
Yeah,
favorite position. Wide receivers is the new cult, hot thing to do. The more wide receivers you draft in the first 4 rounds, the cooler you are as a person.
that's just a fact.
Yeah,
Everyone
I mean,
knows. Yeah,
cool. So, yeah, I mean, as of right now in ADP, there's 7 or 8 wide receivers going in the first round of 12 team drafts. So, or 12 team leagues. So, in talking to you earlier, it seems like you're fully embracing that and riding the wave.
definitely. I I always want to leave with a wide like 2 wide receivers probably in the first 3 rounds for
Okay.
sure. I like them too much. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of stats that back it up, right? That
Yeah.
wide receivers get injured, like half as often as running backs for major injuries. And especially if you're playing like a PPR point per reception format, I mean, these guys are just so locked in on an every week basis. The NFL is a passing league. You're going to get someone that's, always involved in the game plan and has the ability to rip off big weeks at any given time. So there is a reason it's becoming more popular. So can't really blame people there. So yeah, in most drafts, right, the number one overall pick is almost always J Jeff.
As it should
Um,
be. The
yep,
man,
and
the myth, the legend.
right, and then Jamar Chase kind of get consensus number two. CMC's mixed in either number 3, 4, or 5, depending on how your league goes. And then so these 4 receivers with Christian McCaffrey usually make up the top 5. Is that where you are with it?
Yeah, I agree. I think so. I think I've got Jefferson Chase and then Tyreek Hill. Quick blurb on Hill. I think Hill could break the mold this year. He's talking about putting up 2,000 yards and stuff already. He's had a full year to get into the offense and get to know the offense better. He could just go crazy. And yeah, we're going zero RB. You bet.
Yeah. If you guys want any if you want any strategies or just to talk zero RB, my man Jeremy here is probably the biggest proponent that I know, at least. So
I was doing it before it
yeah,
was cool.
yeah, you made it cool.
Before
Yeah,
it was
I
good, but it was still bad for you.
yeah, exactly. I'm probably more on like we said earlier in the show, like the hero RB. I want to make sure I lock in, one of those top like 6 to 8 guys, and then I'll get a little funky from there, and kind of wait on running back for 5 or 6 rounds. But okay, so basically, all right. So talk me through what draft pick would you need in the first round to not take a wide receiver? Like where would you have to land in the draft order to say, all right, the best thing to do here is actually to take a running back in the first round?
I think it's 5. I think I like those top 4 that we're looking at right now. And then I think 5, I'm going McCaffrey. And, like 6, 7, I could see, Austin Eckler getting in there. And then maybe Bijan that early. I don't really like taking a rookie
Yeah.
RB in the first round, even if he is the greatest already.
Yeah. So you're saying you'd be apt to take a running back if you were kind of like
Like 5,
the middle
6.
of the first round,
Yeah.
or like middle to late of
I
the
think
first
middle to
round?
late. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, that's kind of the sweet spot, right? You could
Yeah.
get CMC at a value. You
Hmm.
could take Eckler, which is probably like a slam dunk at like number 7, right? Okay, so I'll throw some this or that. We need to figure
Okay.
out
Yeah.
when to break the mold of the receivers and take the running back. Okay, so Cup or Eckler,
Oh, Cup. Yeah. I'm
Diggs
on
or
Cup.
Eckler.
That's tough, but Eckler. I like Eckler a little better.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
it. So
I
so
think
we
so.
think around like pick 5, 6 is where we want
Yeah,
CMC and Eckler.
and
Okay,
Eckler. Yeah.
so let's try Bijan or Lamb.
I'm going Lamb. Yeah,
AJ Brown or Bijan.
I'm still going AJ Brown.
Devontae Adams or Bijan.
So that's why I'm going to take Bijan there.
I think we're on the same page here. Are you down on Adams this year?
A little, just because like he recently came out and said like Las Vegas looks like trash, like their offense and stuff. Like he's like trash talking his own team, and sometimes that's just like blowing hot air around. So it could be nothing. But because of that, I feel like I'm kind of moving all of the Las Vegas guys down, except for Josh Jacobs, who I mean he's still going to get fed the ball a ton. So if
Yeah.
he plays,
Okay, so now I think I think we know where we're at with the top guys, and we'll still talk about them a little bit. But I think kind of an interesting tier is these like number 9 through number 14. We'll call them the second and third year super popular next big thing breakout candidates, right?
yeah,
So I kind of have 9 through 14 like kind of all in the same tier to a degree. I mean, they're all super high upside young players that we think are going to be better this year than they were last year, right? So
give me
who in that
Garrett
group?
Wilson above Devonte Adams.
Wow, that's strong.
Yes,
So you
above
think
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson is
He could
should
be
be a
Justin
first round pick?
Jefferson. Like, what was that? Was it last year? Justin Jefferson was going like 7. That should be Garrett Wilson this year because he'll be right in that 1, 2, 3 next year.
Wow.
He's
Okay.
good. The man's
I
really,
dig
really good.
I dig it, man. I mean, I
Yeah,
think that in the me and you both play dynasty fantasy football, and I think his price in dynasty ballooned so high that I
yeah,
like everything comes in waves, right? I grew to like not hate him but say like, all right guys, like enough is
yeah.
enough. Like
Done.
he
Yeah,
shouldn't be like wide receiver 3 in dynasty, like, or
yeah,
it's a little too much. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, I think he just feels like a guy that A-Rod is going to love.
yeah.
um yeah,
Absolutely.
elite route runner, electric after the catch. He can make contested catches. He's great at the back shoulder throw. I just think he's like a twitched up Devonte Adams.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome to watch. So, okay, so we know you're at least 3 or 4 spots higher on Garrett Wilson than consensus. Um, can I tell you someone that's ranked up here that I'm very confused about, and maybe talk me into him, or,
All
or
right.
tell me that I'm justified?
Yeah, yeah.
Why is Chris Olave number 12?
Oh man, he like he he was one of the best rookies. Like he had a great rookie season. His he put up so many yards, so many catches. He's gonna be really, really good. And Michael Thomas is nobody. He's done. Don't be wrong. I love can't guard Mike. Just you can kind of guard him now.
Yeah.
That's the problem,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And Olave,
Yeah.
Olave has it. I was not a big Olave fan at the beginning of last year. I wasn't sure about him. And he's I think he's proved everybody wrong. I think he's like the people that doubted him, like me. I think he's really, really good. I think he should be where he is right there on that chart for ranking wise. I probably got him right in that spot, just below Waddle. I want Waddle for him, and then I kind of want him there because he's got that potential top 3 wide receiver season in him. I think him
Okay.
and Wilson have potential to be right up there with Tyreek, Cup, Chase, and Jefferson this year.
Yeah. I think it's hard for me because Amon Ra, Garrett Wilson, and Waddle are just so clearly picks I want to smash
Yeah,
way more than Olave. So
yeah,
that's where it just gets tough for me. And like just me personally, I like T Higgins and Devonta Smith more than Olave. So I'm just kind of down on him. It's one of the, I don't know that I'm just totally off him. I'm just going to let someone else pick him because the 3 players behind him, I
that'll be
just
me.
like, I like their value. Yeah, that'll be you picking
Let
it.
me pick him.
Okay, you can pick him. Go ahead. So okay, so we know you're a big second year wide receiver guy. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay. So
that
Garrett
is correct.
Wilson, Olave, noted.
Yeah.
All right. So Okay. And then we kind of have a little, mini tier here of yes, I'm still good at football. Don't forget about me from
Yeah,
16 down to 21.
that's a good
So
way to
this
put
is
that.
kind of what?
Yeah. I like that.
I
It's
know,
a good way
right?
to put it. Yeah,
It
that's
just kind of
good.
works
That's
out,
good.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So who in the don't forget about me, I'm still good at football, kind of, maybe, sort of. Do you like between 16 and 21?
Uh, hmm. Probably Amari Cooper on that offense with Deshaun Watson. I think he could, really blow up. He looked good. He looked really good last year. He made Dallas look just like really dumb for what was a fifth round pick or something. They traded him away for. Come on.
Yeah.
But no, I like him a lot. Probably Calvin Ridley. Everyone's just talking so much about, but it's driving his price up to the point where I'm not really drafting him. And then I will say Jerry Judy and Christian Watson on that list. Both I like a lot. I actually like Christian Watson probably a little better than Jerry Judy. I just think like he's a guy who he could be just nothing this year, or he could just be amazing, and I don't want to miss out on him potentially being
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you on Watson. He had weak winning games last year, multiple
Yep.
of them. So that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for upside. And yeah, I mean, in this tier, kind of like the 16 to 21, I'll just tell you, like, yeah, I mean, I'm extremely lukewarm on Cooper and Allen. Ridley's cool, but I'm with you. His price is inflated, but I think I will still have some of him. Debo Samuel to me is super interesting because he's just, you know, one season removed from being a top, what do you like, 3 to 5 receiver. So we
Yeah.
know the talent is there. Christian McCaffrey being there definitely dings him a little bit, but he's an absolute baller, dude. And if he gets showcased in this offense, I think Brock Purdy is a perfect quarterback for him. He wants to get rid of the ball quick and let the receivers do the work. So I'm kind of in on Debo. I mean, I think that his upside is definitely there.
If that's his price, then I'm in because I think he should be kind of probably right below DK Metcalf. There is where I
Exactly.
would have him. He should be a
Hmm.
little higher. He should be in that tier. He has that talent. He has that play making ability to just break tackles and run for it. That
For sure.
after the catch, yards is just huge with him.
Nice. Yeah, agree. And yeah, I'm with you on Judy. In on him this year. I like him
He's a little
definitely
scary
more
though,
than
right?
yeah. I mean, but I think
Denver is scary.
Russ will have to be able to cook better than he did last year. I think he's going
Can't be
to.
worse.
They got rid of the coach, right? And that seemed to be
Right.
the problem. Um, so yeah, I'm in on Judy this year. Super talented. We're just waiting for Russ to, not suck. So yeah, in on him. But to be honest, I probably won't have a ton because I like Terry more, and Terry's ranked later. So um, I just think Terry McLaurin's so freaking rock solid, dude.
F1
You just
McLaurin. He's
you
just
just
always going to put
know
up wide receiver 2 points.
it's so easy. I mean, he's guaranteed to finish what, wide receiver 10 to wide receiver 24. Like, lock it
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
he's priced at wide receiver 23. It's like he's priced at his floor.
His
So
floor is great. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah,
And
really
he's
like
another coach's guy, too. You were talking about coach's guys. He's a
mhm,
coach's guy. Everybody loves him. He works his butt off. Like, yeah.
yeah, for sure. So any fades that you're seeing here? I mean, my fade in this range is Hopkins. I don't want
Yeah.
any piece of that. I just I mean, it's so weird, but if you told me like who do I think is going to score more points this year, Hopkins or Burks, I'd almost like want to take the flyer on Burks.
Yeah. That's tough. I would still go Hopkins against you on that one. I think he's still got it in him, but it's hard to take him where he's going. There's just like we were talking about. There's other guys I'd want more. I'd take McLaurin and Judy and Watson, and I'd take Drake London even on the terrible Atlanta team. I'd still want Drake London maybe even just the upside.
I,
I want the upside there, and on a Tennessee team that doesn't seem to have a ton of upside, I'd rather go somewhere else.
I'm with you, man. Wide receiver 22 to 26, I'd all rather have than Hopkins this year.
I'd
So
rather have Lockett too. I like Lockett this year.
yeah.
Yeah,
He- Can we talk about just how underrated he's been for like
yeah,
4 years in a row?
forever. Yeah, every
No,
time
so
wherever you take
I
him,
almost,
he
I gotta,
outplays.
I think I gotta look this up. I mean, hold on real
Yeah,
quick because um, I'm gonna see
yeah.
how many years in a row Lockett has. Oh man, sleeper
Has
changed. I
finished
don't know how to.
high. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
No,
it was like what 4 years in a row he's been wide receiver 14 or higher.
yeah, and he always gets drafted in this range or lower. He gets in like
Yeah.
the late 20s to even 30s sometimes, because people are like, he's old, he's slow, whatever. No, he's not. He's still great, and also Seattle's offense kind of surprised everybody last year. I think that was a little part of his dropping last year, but this year they're going to do it again. Nothing's changed,
Yeah,
except
they're
they've had
they're
another
better.
year. Yeah,
They're better. You have Kenneth Walker coming back. You added oh, I'm blanking. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
yeah,
Dude, Lockett is going to be single covered all the time, and you don't want to do that if you're a defense. He's just an elite deep threat. So yeah, love me some Tyler Lockett. Okay, so other than Tyler Lockett being disrespected, pretty much every year,
yes,
can we talk about the fall from grace of Mike Williams? I mean, Mike
yeah.
Evans.
And Mike
Mike
Evans, yeah,
Evans.
yeah,
So he,
Mister
this is
1000.
9 years in a row, 8 or 9
Yeah,
years in a row with 1,000 yards, and
Mister
now he's
1000.
ranked wide receiver 33.
It's
Is it the
no one
Baker
even
Mayfield
knows who the
effect?
starting quarterback is. It like they haven't even declared Baker the starter yet, right? It's still a quote competition between him and Trask. I don't know. I guess it's that. I think I'll have him on my team because if he's my wide receiver 3 or 4, I'm pretty happy. He's probably going to do pretty well. He's going to catch 1,000 yards again. Like it's just going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. So who above him in the rankings would you draft him over?
Oh, man, that is tough. I do like a lot of those guys. I think over Marquise Brown, I'm
Mhm.
iffy on Arizona, and I think I kind of like the other guys better, honestly.
Okay. Okay, so we're probably about at consensus on Mike Evans.
Yeah,
It's just unfortunate with his QB situation, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of drafting Mike Evans at his floor finishing position. I can't see him finishing as a wide receiver 4. He's just too good for
yeah.
too long. It's going to happen, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so now we're kind of getting into, what do you call these? I guess these are fringe wide receiver threes.
Yeah, like wide
If
receiver
you have
fours
them,
to threes. Yeah.
yeah. So, who are you targeting in this range? Who do you're wide receiver heavy, so these guys might be your wide receiver 4. So who are you after? I'm assuming you're looking for upside here.
Yeah, I like Dotson. A little bit of a homer pick for me. I don't. I try not to draft too many homers, but he's one where I like where he's going, so I like grabbing him where he is. Um, I just think he'll. I mean, you're betting on the Washington offense being better this year and him being a part of it. But I like him there, and a guy there I like a lot is Jackson Smith and Najigba. Sorry, you were talking about him earlier. JSN, I like him a lot. I actually have him kind of close to Lockett rankings wise.
Hmm.
He's a guy where you're going to have to understand he's probably going to sit on your bench maybe for like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, or something like that. But a lot of these like really talented rookies, they show up the second half of the season and go crazy. Like last year, we saw Wilson and Olave and those guys go crazy, and that's what helps you win championships. They get you to the playoffs, that last stretch, and then they help you win the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah. If Metcalf or Lockett were to go down, I mean, I think we would be really excited about JSN there. Um, Let me see. So in this range, um, so are you? I don't think you're a George Pickens guy. So you want Deontay Johnson over George Pickens?
I have them like right next to each other. I like Deontay Johnson a little more just because he gets all the targets, it seems, right now.
Hmm.
But you can't deny Pickens' ability. So I'm kind of like whichever one kind of falls a bit, which is usually Pickens. I sometimes I'm grabbing, but I don't like dislike either of them. What do you think? Are you grabbing one more? Or you get taking none of them? Are you just staying out of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, maybe it depends on my team makeup. I think Deontay Johnson is like the floor play and Pickens is the ceiling play. So, maybe if my picks, earlier in the draft are kind of on the safe side, maybe I'll shoot for Pickens. I mean, I think he has a much higher ceiling than Deontay Johnson. I mean, Deontay Johnson had no touchdowns last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Pretty,
and a lot of drops too, which
pretty wild that a number one receiver on his team had no touchdowns, but
yeah. Well, it's called it's regression, right? He's going to regress to
sure.
having touchdowns
Yep.
this year.
Yep.
So
Yep. Every player will always have more
yeah,
touchdowns than last year. Yeah. Okay. So moving down a little bit more, we're like firmly into wide receiver 4 range. Um, yeah, the guys that I really at this point, when you're outside of your top 3 receivers, you just have to absolutely just shoot for the moon and shoot for upside. You can always draft, the Edelman types that are, bye week fill-ins, get them off the waiver wire or get them later in the draft. We want to shoot for the players here that can, step up and be, that fringe wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 guy if things break right for their team. So for me this year, there's 2 guys in this range that I really like.
like can I guess one?
Sure.
Is it going to be Zay? Is it Zay Flowers? Uh, I thought you maybe
No,
could go Homer here. No. Oh,
no,
I
no.
was surprised. Okay.
So all the reports about Zay Flowers are glowing.
Yeah.
I just think that even the number 1 receiver on Baltimore is not their number 1 receiver, right? I mean, I
It's Mark
think this is going
Andrews.
to be, yeah, it's Mark Andrews. So I think this is going to be kind of like a Kansas City situation where, the number 1 receiver on the Ravens is only a wide receiver 3, right? So, and I don't know who it's going to be. And it could be anyone, any week. I mean, Odell's healthy and looks good. Zay Flowers is just smoking people in practice all day, every day. Bateman's back and is supposedly healthy now. I don't know, man. I think I'm kind of out on all of them except, OBJ is the cheapest and
Yeah.
might have the highest ceiling of the 3. So you might be able to count me in there.
Yeah. I kind of like taking a shot on Zay Flowers here or there. I just think like he could, he's a little unknown with the rookie, so like he could become the alpha there and just like tear it up.
Yeah, he was kind of like the lost rookie in the shuffle, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you see Quentin Johnston has more buzz, Addison has more buzz, Zay Flowers kind of lost a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean in this range, the people I'm really shooting for, I love Treylon Burks.
Hmm.
I just think he's has a really great profile, size, speed. He reminds me of so much of AJ Brown, and he's on Tennessee now. I think Tannehill's going to be really comfortable with that. And also, I'm buying into the Elijah Moore bounce back.
Yeah.
I like you've mentioned a couple of times, Cleveland they're due, man. I mean, I think they're going to come back and have their offense is going to be humming. And Elijah Moore he was up in the dynasty wide receiver, 12 to 15 range just like a year ago. The fall from grace has been wild. So
Yeah.
I'm not counting him out quite yet.
Yeah. I like both those guys. Actually, I know you're talking about kind of going with more upside guys and stuff, but I think for like a really safe floor play, Brandon Cooks is really good. And last year, he just like dialed it in with Houston. You can't count those. If you don't count those numbers, you look at him 2 years ago, the guy crushes it.
Mhm.
And just with that Dallas offense, Gallup is back and healthy, but Cooks could end up being the number 2 there. And we haven't seen CD Lamb like go crazy yet, which could happen this year. But I just think there's a spot for Cooks, and I don't mind grabbing him here and there too.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Super safe play. I mean, we
Yeah,
just know he's locked in for 750, 800 receiving yards and
yeah,
6 or 7 touchdowns. So I don't mind that at all. Um, People that I'm completely out on, I don't think me or you are drafting Michael Thomas.
yeah.
Um,
We have
and
the Czech reviewer is asking about Zay Jones. I like Zay Jones. I think there's competition there. He's got Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley going on. But Zay Jones, he's going to have those blow up games. It's going to happen. And if, like you and I are talking about, we like the Jags offense this year, and getting a
Hmm.
piece of that offense is always good. I think, and from where he's going too, Zay Jones is going pretty late. You can grab him late and stash him on your bench, and if something happens to the guys in front of him, he's immediately, wide receiver 2, 3 range.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, I'm trying to get a piece of that Jacksonville offense any way I can. I'm even in on Evan Ingram this year again because I'm always in on Evan Ingram every year. But yeah, I mean, I think that offense is going to be great, so I don't mind that for end of the bench guy.
Yeah.
I want to talk real quick about the Kansas City wide receivers. What's blowing my mind is Patrick Mahomes is either the number one, two, or three QB ranked every year for the past 4 or 5 years. And the top ranked Kansas City wide receiver is Kadarius Toney at wide receiver 49. Can you please explain what is going on?
I don't know, but I'm just buying MVS all over the place. Like I'm okay taking him as like my receiver 5 or 6 or something, because he goes so late, and I just think he has that like long play ability there. They like him in that role. That him or even Sky Moore too. Sky Moore
Hmm.
could.
Yeah.
If I have Sky Moore and Elijah Moore on my team, one of them's going to be great, right? I hope.
Hmm.
Even
Yep.
the Moore brothers.
You're hoping you get more out of them this year than last year.
Yeah, there you
Yep.
go.
But yeah, so we have Kadarius Toney, wide receiver 49. Hate to say it because love the talent, but he's probably a full fade for me. The guy just can't
Yeah,
stay healthy. He already got surgery on his knee a couple
it's a
weeks
shame.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really is a shame because he's so fun to watch play. And then you have Sky Moore, wide receiver 51, and then you have Rashee Rice, wide receiver 79. I think this is kind of to me like the crowded backfield running back situation. I'm just going to take one of the cheaper guys, like you said, Marquez Valdez-Scantling
yeah.
or Rashee Rice, maybe Sky Moore,
I'm
and
kind of out
just
on Reshi Rice. I feel like he's kind of the wide receiver 3, 4 in the group, so I'm a
okay.
little out on him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to watch more preseason, see
Yeah,
what Andy Reid says about these guys. All I know is one of the Chiefs wide receivers will be a wide receiver three or higher. It probably almost has to happen.
or
So
just
yeah,
Kelsey catches everything
yeah, he's
and
done that.
continues to dominate fantasy football
Yeah,
the
we're
way he
getting bored
does.
of it. We need
Yeah,
something new. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, just I'm gonna try to end up with a Chiefs receiver, just because it's fun, and Justin Ross too. They're saying that he could possibly make the team, so that'd be cool.
He's a good
Um,
like talk about like late round flyer, like sleeper pick at the very end of your draft. If you just have an extra spot on your bench, grab Justin Ross and just cross your fingers.
exactly, elite talent. Probably wouldn't have been a first round draft pick or a second round draft pick had he not had his neck injury in his last year of college. Unfortunate, but super talented guy. So hopefully he'll get a chance. Okay, so now we're getting down into the dartiest dart throws ever. One of my favorite players. I mean, I don't know why he's one of my favorite players, but just ever since he entered the draft, I love Nico Collins.
Yeah,
I just love, he's kind of that old school like Andre Johnson, maybe because he's on Houston, the Andre Johnson, like I'm 6'4", I'm 225 pounds, I'm bigger than you, I'll run you over type receiver. He's just really fun to watch for me. So I'm hopeful in Nico Collins this year. I have him everywhere in dynasty leagues, and Stroud is probably an upgrade over Davis Mills, and Nico Collins is the number one receiver, right, on Houston.
yeah, he's got to be. I mean, but people are talking about this Tank Dell. You seen that
It was one
after? Yeah,
play. It was one play.
I know, but who
Yeah,
knows?
I hear you.
Who
I hear
knows in
you.
that kind of situation? But no, going that range, I really don't see myself grabbing too much Collins. It's another thing where like just the Houston situation, I just avoid.
Yeah.
But who I've been trying to grab a bunch of is Jamison Williams for Detroit, and I know it's tough to come back from the injury he had and really get like back to his elite level. But when you're getting him for that price, and he's going to miss 6 games, but you don't need him until week 7 anyway because you'll already have your starters. So he just sits on your
Mhm.
bench, and then you hope he blows up.
Just
And
marinates there nicely. Yep.
yeah, marinates. And his talent is there, and I just think I think he could be a really sneaky, you know, help get you into and then win the playoffs kind of wide receiver.
So are you scared off at all? Have you heard like the coach speak on Jamison Williams? It's like the coach said something last week, and it was like almost along the lines of he was like, yeah, he's never going to be one of those receivers that can like, catch the ball. Like
I
it was
missed
really
that one. Jeez.
no, he said like, oh, he's never going to be one of those hands guys. I'm like, yeah, you kind of need
You
those
kind of
if
need
you're
that. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, but yeah, no, I'm with you. It's like you're not going to plan to use him the first 6 weeks anyway because you're drafting him as a wide receiver 5 or 6, and he could have that Tyreek Hill esque, one trick pony, deep threat, running end arounds, something like that. That's the mold of player he's in, right?
Yep. I think so.
Yeah.
Anybody else
So
going in this kind of later range where you're snagging? You see yourself grabbing a couple of them?
yeah, man, it's like I really like Rondale Moore for
Okay.
like a ton later than Hollywood Brown. I
Yeah.
mean, Rondale Moore was a target monster last year, low key. I mean, I know it was with Kyler, but the QB change doesn't really affect me all that much. I mean, I know this offense is going to be anemic, but the type of receiver Rondale Moore is like swing pass, screens, quick
He
slants,
reminds you of
and that
Debo a little bit, right?
yeah,
I feel like
he's like a
he
tiny
does.
yeah, he's a tiny little Debo.
Yeah.
James Conner is the only running back in the backfield to speak of there. So I feel like they'll even get Rondale Moore like 3, 4, 5 carries a game. I don't know, man. If you look at his targets per game last year, he was just eating them up. And yeah, I think he's gonna, I don't think the ceiling's high there, but a safe little player that would be fun to keep an eye on when we're talking about someone this late. I just don't like many players after him. Let me see, like Donovan Peoples-Jones is intriguing to me for more of the Cleveland reasons.
I like
Anyone else?
Hodgins if I'm picking a New York Giant. If I want to pick
He could be
one,
their number one, right?
yeah, I'm picking Hodgins or, you know, really late, maybe Paris Campbell or Slayton. I feel like those three, I'm kind of off on Hyatt or
Hmm.
or Shepard. I'm kind of done with those guys. But give me like Hodgins, or it's like you're hoping one of those guys like becomes one of something, right? It's a Brian Table offense. You want somebody, and just
Hmm.
hope that they become the guy.
Hodgins, ex Buffalo Bill,
Yeah,
shout out
yeah,
Nickel City
that's
Mafia.
right. Yeah,
And he was like low key their wide receiver 1 at the end of the year last year. He scored a
he was.
touchdown in what 4 straight games at one
Yeah,
point.
oh yeah.
So yeah, I dig that. Thanks for pointing him out. Daniel Jones got paid, and he's got to have a go-to guy. So why can't it be him?
Yeah.
So I
And I
feel
like
that.
Dubs a little bit too. Is that where you're going? Yeah. I like Romeo
Yeah,
Dubs a little bit.
it's just yeah. Who's going to be the number 2 receiver in Green Bay is just
Yeah.
so up in the air. So yeah, I mean he has as good of a chance as anyone. So I don't mind that at all. Let me see if there's anyone down here. Um,
Here you're really getting into the who
yeah,
knows.
I think we're out. Although I think this is disrespectful for Josh Palmer.
They're saying he's looking really great in camp. He's beaten out Quentin Johnston, who they spent, a lot of draft capital on.
I mean,
Uh,
Josh Palmer was what, like wide receiver 30 to 35 last year. He was solid.
yeah, because Keaton or Williams gets hurt, and he was right in
Exactly.
there, and it
They're
could
made of
happen again.
glass.
Yeah,
They're made of glass.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Marvin Mims Jr. is getting a lot of talk lately, right there in that same spot, just
Right.
from all the injuries they have. Poor Tim Patrick. The dude is like
Yeah.
worked so hard to like get a contract and just like be a part of the team, and it could be his career now with this last injury.
Yeah. He's out for the year
Yeah.
again. And then help me remember the other guy that went to Penn State, KJ Hamler.
Yes, Hamler's out
Also,
again.
he,
Yeah.
he got cut. So yeah, so I'm with you there. Marvin Mims, electric athlete, early declare into the NFL. He's a really cool dart throw to have on the end of your bench. Could be a complete zero, but could be really nice. So I'm with you. All right, enough wide receiver talk. Let's go to everyone's favorite position, tight end.
Yeah.
So just in general, what's your strategy on tight end? Is it, similar to quarterback where you say like, yeah, there's kind of these like 8 or 10 guys I'm comfortable with, and I definitely want to lock one of those up because I don't really want to stream them. When we talk about streaming, which means like you kind of start a different person every week. Quarterback and tight end are the popular positions to do that. So, are you a tight end streamer, or do you like to get that locked in guy?
A little of both, I think. So I kind of have like one strategy I stick to, and it's either Kelsey or Andrews, and then like nothing. But like weirdly, I kind of like Pat Fryermuth. If he falls a little bit, I grab him. Otherwise, I wait and grab people way late, like way way late. I'm talking like we could talk about when we get down to that part of the draft,
Mhm.
but like past number 12 on the list, I'm just grabbing two of those guys and running with them, and I'll stream, and that's just what
Yeah.
I usually do. But just I think Kelsey's in his own tier, and Mark Andrews he's in his own tier, and I want one of those two guys. I get that people think Hawk could be up there as well, and you got Kittle, Waller, Pitts, Goddard, all those guys are up there. Just I would rather have a running back or wide receiver in those range. I think that's it with me.
Yeah, I hear you. It's like in years past, I was with you. It's like you need one of those top 3 or 4 guys, or it almost feels like a waste of a pick when
Yeah.
you turn in, the Goddard pick or Ingram or Fryermuth and Joku, something like that. It's like, is the tight end 9 that different from the tight end 18? I mean,
Yeah.
statistics say it's not at all, right?
No.
I mean, to be a difference maker, you have to be one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. I mean, so where's your cutoff? You said your cutoff's as high as like if you don't get
I
one of
think
the
it's
top.
Kelsey. I think like Kelsey's the cutoff, right? Because he's going sometimes in the first round, a lot of drafts, and then like Andrews in late second or like mid third or something. If he falls, I'll take him. I'll gladly take him later, and then that's it. I don't really want anybody else until like I said, number 9, Pat Fryermuth. If he falls a bit, he's the one guy in that middle range. I kind of find myself wanting to grab, and
Mhm.
then I just wait. I just don't want anybody else.
Right. So like of the people that aren't really, Kelsey, Andrews, and we'll throw in Hawkinson and Kittle for the sake of argument, but of the people that aren't in this tier 1 up here, is there any and is there anyone that you think things could break right and they become like the tight end 3 or tight end 4? Is there even that do any of these people have that capability?
So you have to tell me what you think, but Darren Waller, I think the Dayball offense, they don't have a number 1 wide receiver. They don't have like an alpha wide receiver. So
Mhm.
Waller could be that guy. He puts in the work. He's a great person and a great player. And if he stays healthy all year and they're just peppering him with Kelsey like targets, he could be right up in that top 3 range. And he's the one where like of all the guys, when I say like I'm skipping all those guys in the middle, he's the one where I feel like could really burn me. He could burn me for just skipping out on Waller. grab Don Kincaid and thank me later. I would love to, but statistically, rookie tight ends, it's really hard for them to be like a top 5 tight end in the rookie year. Uh, but I don't mind stashing him. Like I said, when I'm grabbing late, he's a late target. Why not stash him late when you can get him that late?
Hmm. Yeah, so for me, I'm kind of with you. I need to decide whether I'm probably not going to be quite as top heavy as you. Like I'm in on Hawkinson this year. I think
Yeah.
he's just entering his prime. I think he's the number 2 target in that offense, which is on turf, high volume, and they score a ton of points. So I'm in on Hawkinson this year. I need to decide, where's my cutoff? I think it's going to be Pitts after Pitts. If I don't get anyone Pitts or higher, I'm going to wait all the way down the board and take 2 of them. But like we were
Yeah.
saying earlier with QB, it's like you'd almost rather take one early so you don't have to draft a second one. And then you can kind of use that spot on your bench for like that extra running back or that extra wide receiver. So
Yeah.
I think that's the strategy I'm going to employ this year. Dude, I refuse to believe that Kyle Pitts is a bust.
So I don't think he's a bust at all. I just think I would rather have other people. Like it's like where he's going. I'd rather have someone in a different position, or I'd rather I'd rather wait or get somebody earlier. That's my thing with Kyle Pitts. And I just don't know about Atlanta. I don't know about their team. Are they just going to run the ball forever? They're never going to
Mhm.
pass to their two great receivers in Pitts and Drake London.
Right. Yeah, I think I might have to be with you, and my cutoff might have to be Waller because
Yeah,
I dig the upside, like you were saying before, is he has to stay healthy, man.
yeah.
He's had two injury plague seasons in a row, but before that, he was that guy that could be top three. So, yeah. But okay, so like going down the board a little bit, once we get past Pitts, we're kind of in the blah range where these next five or six guys,
They're going to be
from
solid, right?
they're going to be solid from
They're going to be
Goddard to
solid, but
Schultz.
they're not going to blow up on your team.
Exactly. You're not going to be disappointed with Goddard to Schultz,
Yeah.
but you don't have that upside, I don't believe, to spring like a league winning season out of any of those guys. Um, I can't even pick one of them. I mean,
Goddard would be the
eh,
pick out of all of them. I guess, like I
yeah,
said, I
Goddard.
like Pat Frymuth late because I feel like he's been dropping. So like
Mhm.
when he drops, I grab him. But other guys think just you want an offense that's going to score a ton of points, and Philly's going to score a ton of points. So I like Goddard in that range.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yep, he's probably there. So going a little bit down the board, I think, you can probably, safely draft any of these top 11 guys and get a decent return and be somewhat happy with it. Once you go 12 or lower, yikes, right? So I don't know that you're confidently putting Greg Dulcich or Tyler Higbee in your lineup and proud of it every week. I mean, am I
actually,
missing
don't hit
someone?
on Higby because who
He
else
gets a
are
lot
they
of
throwing
targets. Yeah.
to in
Yeah.
LA? In LA, like in the Rams, like
Mhm.
they have Cup and then it's Higby.
Yeah.
So he's actually a sneaky guy I've been taking a lot of because you can get him so late, and I think he's just gonna get targets and passes because I mean they can't throw every single pass to Cup, right? I mean, I guess
Yeah.
they can.
So how do you like the combination of Higby? Because I think we just agreed that Higby, target monster, probably a decent floor, not much of a ceiling. What
Yeah,
about the Higby and Kincaid combo? You get Higby as your locked in tight end, and then you just sit on Kincaid and see if I don't. First of all, I don't even think Dalton Kincaid's a tight end. I think he's a
yeah.
slot receiver.
They drafted him to
So
be a receiver. Yeah,
yeah, I
I
mean,
could totally see that happening. Yeah,
he's like, if Cole Beasley had a big brother that beat him up all the time, that's Dalton Kincaid, right? So
yeah, yeah.
um yeah, I
The,
mean,
the
I
talent's there. Everyone's saying he's
mhm,
like the most talented tight end we've seen in a while. Besides Pitts, I guess. Right? He's right up there.
mhm.
Everyone's really excited about him. He went to a landing spot where again they're going to score a bunch of points. It's a great offense. So I think he's a great grab at the end of your draft. Like he's going cheaper. You can get him.
So Jake or Mike, if you're still listening, can you give us like a camp report real quick of, are they using Kincaid in the slot or is he hand in the dirt? Please and thank you. Um, okay, so so we've said in this range we like Higby, we like Kincaid, um, Chig. I don't know about Chig. I mean, I think like we said, like can Tennessee support three pass catchers? I doubt it. He's a super explosive player. He's from University of Maryland, which I would love. But yeah, what do you think about him?
You said the problem right there. Can they support three pass catchers? I was
Mhm.
all about him until DeAndre
Until they
Hopkins
get
went to Tennessee,
exactly.
and then it's
Yep.
like I'm out. I'm just out, and it's a shame. Uh, and I think he could still be decent. Like he's just he doesn't have that upside that you want, and that's the problem. I like actually Dulcich right below him, but it's another situation. We were talking about Denver earlier, where like who knows what's going on with Denver, right? Like is he gonna get the ball? Do they not like him? Like it's one of those things where it's up in the air.
If you believe depth charts, he's not the starting tight end. Adam
Even
Troutman,
worse.
baby, he's back. He's
Oh
back.
jeez. Yeah.
Um, cool. Yeah. So I don't know. Now that I'm looking at this little range right here, I kind of think I want to build a team or two with like and punt
With two of
and
these
punt.
guys, right?
Yeah, because I
Any of
actually
those guys, take two of them, and I'm not mad, and you
yeah.
can get them late.
So I'm pretty out on Chig and I'm out on Komet, but I like Everett And
Yes.
Juwan Johnson is pretty nice, dude. I mean,
Agree.
he's a touchdown scoring machine. He's athletic. He gets a much better quarterback this year. I like Juwan Johnson a lot. Um, yeah, and after that, it's kind of doo doo. I don't know that
So
anyone
Hunter
down here.
Henry.
So you think
I've been.
Gesicki's not a thing?
I think Gesicki's not a thing.
Okay,
I think Hunter Henry is going to get some red zone looks, and that's where I like him.
okay.
So he's kind of a super deep late guy. I like. I don't think there's anybody else really. Oh, and Fant. I don't know why. I still like Fant.
That's way too low for him. He
He's,
finished as like tight end, what, probably like 12 to 14 last year or something like that. I
and
mean,
he's
I
on an
think
offense again that's going to throw the ball. Like Gino likes to throw the ball.
mhm,
He only needs to catch a few touchdowns, and if he's your second kind of end of the road tight end there, why not?
mhm.
And then right a little below him, Isaiah Likely. If
I was
something
just
ever
about
happens to Andrews, he's the guy. Look, we saw a little bit of that last year, right? Where he was just amazing.
I was just about to say the only tight end handcuff in the league is Isaiah Likely.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
he's pretty cool just to stash on your bench because we saw like he can go nuts if Andrew's out, and Andrew's kind of been a little bit injury prone the past couple years, so he's missed some games. But
even
yeah,
with Andrews in, I could see Likely getting targets, getting touchdowns, them running two tight end sets. Like
mhm,
you said, who are the wide receivers there? It's Mark Andrews, and then we're not sure.
mhm, exactly. Yeah, so the more and more we talk through it, I'm glad we did this. I might be, fading tight end and drafting two of them. Up until today, I really was interested in Trey McBride, but did you hear Zach Ertz is going to be back for game one?
I didn't, but it doesn't surprise me. That guy is like built a steel or something. He's just always coming back.
Yeah,
Like, and he's good when he comes back. He's good.
he was
Um,
great. I mean, I want to
yeah,
say he was like in the top 6 to 8 tight ends last year before his injury.
yeah.
And
It's another team where like you're just not sure until Kyler's back how great the pass catchers are going to be.
mhm.
So that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of these guys down here will ever really be drafted. But if you're in like a deeper league, someone that I like is Jake Ferguson. I mean, I don't know why Dallas's starting tight end is going as tight end 34. Dallas is just notorious for always having a productive tight end. They always have, they always will. And for my money, Jake Ferguson's their starter this year. Dalton Schultz is on Houston. And the rookie that they drafted, like Schoonmaker or whatever his name is, he's
Yes,
hurt. I think he's out for the year.
he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So,
make a good point. I actually have not been taking much Jake Ferguson. I think I will now. I think I want to make sure I
okay,
get like, if I'm going two tight ends at the end, I think I want him to be one of them. Just in a couple spots, just to like give me that lotto ticket and see if he blows up.
exactly. I mean, Dalton Schultz wasn't like this highly recruited, super athletic person.
No.
Neither is Jake Ferguson. It doesn't matter though. Dallas has proven they always feed the tight ends, starting back with the Witten days.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, I think that's all we got. Any more? Any more? And I'll just say my parting words for tight end is don't be that guy that drafts Taysom Hill.
Hey, maybe somebody just wants to start a quarterback in their tight end spot. It's fine. You never know.
That's funny. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Good talking to you. This was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you too.
And yeah, so if you guys are still watching, I see some people are. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, join our Discord. We have a Nickel City Mafia Discord. We talk everything on there. We talk golf, we talk Buffalo Bills, we talk fantasy football, we just talk whatever regular football talk, and we're kind of on it all the time. So join our Discord, follow our channel. Next Tuesday, we're going to do a live mock draft. Jeremy and I are going to host it, and we're going to make fun of everyone's picks for a couple hours, and it's going to be a great
Including
time.
our own.
And
So it's fine.
yep, and we'll bring some beers, maybe some bourbon. Jeremy his bachelor party is this weekend, and
Yeah.
him and I
2
and
days.
10 other good friends are going down to the Bourbon Trail. So we'll have to try something that we procure down south on Tuesday while we have our mock draft with you guys. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll bring back something special to drink.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, man. Well, this was your first podcast ever. I will say you
Yeah.
did A+ job.
Thank you.
Congratulations, man. This is awesome. Rick was with us for a few years, big shoes to fill, but you did outstanding. So looking forward to doing more and fun times. And we will catch you all next week. See you.
Thanks. See you guys.
Bye.